Which Green Lantern is the best? This video is going to be very similar to the true successor videos, except we're going to be looking at it a little bit differently. There are so many Green Lanterns that especially exist all at the same time. I think it's a different conversation, and instead of the terms of who's the successor to Green Lantern, it's more so about who embodies the Green Lantern the best out of the people who are currently Green Lantern or have been Green Lantern. And we're going to be streamlining this video looking at the human Green Lanterns instead of the alien lanterns, because if we did incorporate them as well, this video would never end. Let's start with the character that I am almost certain the consensus would already vote on him, Hal Jordan. He has been the face of the Green Lantern Corps for decades now, and he's probably the one that most people connect with or are drawn to, especially when you consider that most of the popular stories are tied to him. He has the most experience overcoming fear and is powerful enough to take on some of the most powerful metahumans and aliens. He's been put on a pedestal and has become an Earth or universal legend, basically becoming the Green Lantern that everybody wants to be. Along with that, he has a strong relationship between the Corps and the heroes of Earth, becoming a staple hero who has been the anchor in many major story arcs. But let's look at his cons here. He has become Parallax, and even though it was through possession, it left a stain on his character for a very long time, and that was hard to recover from. Destroying the Green Lantern Corps, killing the Guardians of the Universe, and many other heroes, it was a lot to come back from. He can often be portrayed to be arrogant and quick to action, a very cocky personality. There are other Green Lanterns that may have more complexities, which people may find more interesting than Hal Jordan. Now, of course, those personality traits, Hal can grow out of that. He can become a better person. He can learn and change and mature. However, no matter all the pros and cons you could give to Hal Jordan, he has quantity on his side. He has by far the most stories any Green Lantern has, and has usually been the forefront and center of them. And then you throw him into the Justice League, usually the most popular iteration of a Green Lantern on the team. Hal just has way too many things going for him that make him the popular choice. Now let's look at John Stewart. He's one of the more serious Lanterns, and because of that, he holds himself to a higher standard and takes responsibility for himself and others, making him a very strong leader. As that leader, he's calm under pressure, strategic, and is tactically efficient, and inspires through his strong connection to willpower, never waning from it. He's an ex-Marine and architect. His abilities as a Lantern are much more refined, efficient, and creative, and he was the main Green Lantern in the Justice League animated series and Unlimited, which most people watched and have fond memories of, giving him a massive nostalgia boost. In terms of capabilities as a Green Lantern, I'm almost certain that after Hal, the consensus would then draw over to John. He would be next in line for the most history a human Green Lantern has, and can often be used as the main Green Lantern instead of Hal himself sometimes. But as for his cons, John can be cold or stoic, and when you compare him to some of the more livelier Green Lanterns, people may enjoy those characters more. And in terms of comics, John has been overshadowed by Hal one too many times, as has many other characters in the Lantern Corps, of course, but his popularity rises and falls all the time between Hal and those other human Lanterns. As long as Hal Jordan is there, everyone that comes after him, even a John Stewart, will suffer from it. You could give a developmental story for Hal and one for John and maybe one for other characters, put them all out at the same time, and a majority of people will gravitate over to Hal Jordan. That's a good thing, because they've been able to make a character so captivating like him that people are still interested. But in a world where the Green Lanterns are all about growing their numbers, their forces, and introducing new candidates to a Green green ring, it doesn't necessarily help those characters all the time. Now, I'm not trying to say that John Stewart doesn't have his own stories, isn't a well-known, prestigious Green Lantern, and people don't like him. I am just trying to put it out there that with Hal Jordan at his popularity height, it's hard to beat. Now we look at Alan Scott, and for his prose, he's the original Green Lantern, which all the Lantern mythos stems from him, even if the lore may be so far different today than when he was created in the 40s. Coming from that golden age era and decade of war, he is a symbol of courage and, again, willpower, as these emotions are pretty much timeless for the character. Even though his power doesn't come from a power battery, it still comes from the Guardians of the Universe, allowing him to enact his role as similarly as possible to a generalized Green Lantern. And even with their differences, he still has enough of the same in which you require from a traditional Green Lantern, along with existing and helping throughout one of the most important times in human history, being World War II. But for his cons, Alan's weakness is wood. So that really puts a damper on things and probably makes his powers wildly inconsistent. As for comic fans who will like, or at the very least know of the character, more casual fans may have no idea who he is and may also not even find his classic vibe interesting. And the differences of his Green Lantern nature, not being a galactic peacekeeping police force, subtracts from his overall connection to the Lanterns and makes him a less valuable option. Perhaps. I'm not saying that's a definitive point. I am just putting it out there. If people do feel that way, it's understandable. Now for Simon Baz. His character explores complex issues like racial profiling and redemptions, and how he comes out of all of it using his mental capacity of willpower. His knowledge in mechanical engineering allows for him to understand the ring and its construct manufacturing on levels others might not. And to even add on to that, he has an ability no other Green Lantern has, being capable of giving him premonitions or images from the future. I have to imagine that's pretty useful. Many Lantern characters earn this mighty power and often become overwhelmed with the rest of what the universe offers. However, with Simon, he of course dabbles in that, but he still finds a way to keep his human interests at the forefront. Although when you look at his cons, even though he was a heavy focus in the New 52, he hasn't been focused on as much since. I do tend to find that happens at the start of continuities when these writers want to introduce brand new characters. They get so excited about the potentials they could offer and the stories they want to tell with them. Eventually, they just basically decide to resort to those more popular characters, leaving these brand new characters with potential in the dust. The use of guns and firearms wasn't universally accepted by many of the fans, and some of them believed it rejected the nature of willpower and the Green Lantern's beliefs. He doesn't have that significant storyline that other major Lanterns do, in which that would cement your place as a top dog. He was kind of overshadowed by Jessica Cruz, where Simon took more of a supporting role when they partnered up. I do think Simon has a lot of potential, and if utilized, could really show it off, but they just haven't done it. Speaking of Jessica Cruz, let's look at her prose. In a very short amount of time, Jessica has gone from a rookie, bouncing from Earth 3's power ring to an actual Green Lantern ring, into a seasoned pro. One other younger Lanterns can look up to, and even seasoned vets can appreciate her courage and her resilience. She's an excellent team player, no matter if it's with Simon Baz, other Green Lanterns, or even the Justice League. She struggles with PTSD and all kinds of anxiety and trauma, making her a relatable Green Lantern in terms of human problems. She shows the capabilities that we have to rise above these problems and use our willpower to do it. Through all those problems she has, Baz through the striking fear that she holds, she still chooses bravery instead and focuses on that to deliver herself victories every day. For her cons, though, just like Baz, she is newer to the role, and even though she fights it, her personal struggles can be enough to show doubt or inconsistencies, potentially not making her ready for bigger threats to come or that might already be there. Most of her stories have her paired with other pre-established characters and not her self-contained, making her development a little slower. Like Simon, I think Jessica really has the potential, and in my honest opinion, I think she might, and this might be bold, have the best potential of all the characters on this list, but they just haven't done it in ways they maybe should. Looking at Guy Gardner, even though he can be aggressive, it makes him one of the most fearless lanterns in the game, which also means he doesn't lack for confidence. Whether you love him or you hate him, his personality and attitude make him nearly unforgettable. He has had his time as a Red Lantern, but was capable of channeling willpower and rage at the same time, so still being capable of featuring the Green Lantern he always was. Although he can be viewed as an underdog, he constantly proves his worth, and much of his hard-earned respect can resonate with fans. As for his cons, he is rarely the lead lantern, if not ever, and he often just shows up as a support. He's not a natural leader and instead is preferably used as the muscle or a brawler. He also, well, clear as day as we can see in almost any iteration of him, has a temper problem. He has a bit of a loose cannon and he lets his emotions get the better of him. And he is a comic relief character. Those types of characters do struggle to take center stage or even develop further than who they already are. And then last for this list, guys, Kyle Rayner. He is by far the most powerful human Green Lantern, or Green Lantern in general, in which he's hosted Parallax, Ion, and has even been a White Lantern. As a skilled artist, he is potentially the best elaborate creations with lantern constructs, and he also sees life differently than most. Could even be a reason why Life, the White Lantern, suits him so well. Depending on the continuity, Kyle was selected randomly after Hal's destruction of the core, and if you truly like underdog stories, you get to watch him go from nobody to the greatest power potential and understanding in a lantern. He has often been seen as the character who keeps everyone together and upholds the true standards and values of the Guardians and the Green Lanterns. Kyle was definitely created in terms of being a savior, especially what happened after with Hal Jordan in Parallax, and he was looked at as this character who could put the core on his shoulders and regrow it to what they always were. However, relating him so much to a Hal Jordan could also be a con. That's why for his cons, Kyle seems to get pushed out of a leading role in favor of Hal Jordan quite often, and him as a White Lantern could have led him to being far too powerful, where he as a Green Lantern should no longer be the character's future, and his storyline should maybe be bigger than that. But again, with his connection to Hal Jordan, I tend to find certain writers don't know how to distinguish him as being different from Hal, and they simply default him to the nice guy or Hal Jordan 2.0. I think the general consensus would pretty much have Hal Jordan and John Stewart at the 1 and 2, Hal being number 1 for sure. But I'm going to rank these, in my personal opinion, 7 being last place and number 1 being the top spot for who I think is the best Green Lantern out there. So at 7, I have Guy Gardner. 6, Simon Baz. 5, Alan Scott. 4, Jessica Cruz. 3, Hal Jordan. 2, John Stewart. And number 1, Kyle Rayner. For Guy Gardner being last, yeah, sure, maybe it's a little bit of a bias in which I don't like him, but realistically, I just think that guy is much better used as a support character and isn't your typical Green Lantern emotional viability. I think really keeps him from being the best Green Lantern. At 6 with Simon Baz, really what is holding this character back is how little progression he has gotten since he's been created, and arguably has been the Green Lantern that has been forgotten about the most out of anyone here. For Alan Scott, again, he's not a traditional Lantern in the sense of being part of this lore that they have created for the character, but at the very least, he is a Green Lantern in willpower and mentality. However, I do think Alan Scott is far more suited to a world that pertains to the Golden Age and wouldn't really have too much to offer the way some of these other characters have when you start introducing spacefaring combat and journeys into it. Number 4 is Jessica Cruz, and to be completely honest with you, there is a piece of me that wants to put this character higher and can't, because John and Hal and even Kyle have way too much decades of history behind them compared to her. I do think she could get to that point though, and I think all of the trauma she has had to go through in her character history really speaks the most to what humans have to go through in the real world. I know Hal Jordan being at 3, yeah, he should be number 1, I get it, but the reason why I put him here is I just think that John and Kyle personify the Green Lantern Corps in ways that maybe Hal doesn't necessarily do. Hey, he's still top 3. I don't think that's a bad thing whatsoever, but I do believe why everyone would have Hal at that number 1 spot is because, again, it's how much DC prioritizes his character. For John Stewart, everything in regards of mentality, personality, and attitude is what they want in a Green Lantern. For my number 1 spot in Kyle Rayner, it's about what Kyle offers to the Green Lantern Corps. He is basically the Lantern Corps' savior. I've mentioned this in prior videos before, where I have viewed Kyle Rayner almost as if he is the chosen one for the Lanterns in DC. Kind of like an Anakin Skywalker, if you will, if Anakin never went to the dark side. And I think what he has been able to carry on his shoulders as a leading Green Lantern, a supporting Green Lantern, also holding all of this power he has held, being a White Lantern, understanding the structure and the elements of this universal power. Maybe it's even being more than just a Green Lantern. Maybe understanding that on a universal level is what makes the character so important, and why I personally believe not only should DC be pushing this character far more than they have been, but why I believe he is the best Green Lantern. So there you go, guys. There are all the human Green Lanterns, my pros and cons, and my rankings of what I think is the best Green Lantern out there. You guys in the comments below, let me know who you think is the best Green Lantern. And you know what, for fun, let me know who you think the best Green Lantern might be in regards to the other aliens out there. That is all I have for you on this video, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it, and until the next time, I will talk to you all very soon.